kamu pause saja streamingnya.
Apa?
Kamu
Oh,
pause baru baru buka all-nya.
oh, kok bisa di pause? Oke,
Iya,
oke.
iyalah.
Siap,
Itu
makasih,
coba
Bang.
kamu pause terus buka all bisa tuh.
Siap, siap.
Oke.
Ya, kelihatan nanti topiknya semua kalau udah di itu.
Terus sama sebelah kanan itu coba geserin ke kiri. Sebelah kiri geserin ke kiri.
Apa sebelah kiri?
Yang itu, yang tulisan kotak-kotak itu loh.
Iki.
Ya, coba
Ini.
terus terus sampai sampai full.
Ini udah full, Bang.
Lagi bisa. Oke, udah
Kayak
kan.
gini.
Yoi.
Ya, jangan, jangan, jangan. Udah lengkap semua ya berarti untuk pesertanya. Oke.
Sepertinya
Titan,
udah sih.
Titan live stream udah siap ngomong sedikit. Oke. Dengeran nggak Tan? Halo, halo tes 1 2 3. Halo. Udah aman belum Tan? Tes 1 2. Halo, halo tes tes. Udah kedengeran belum Tan? Di YouTube aman. Oke. Berarti ini udah start ya? Udah live stream di YouTube ya? Halo Titan. Aman kan? Di YouTube.
Halo, halo,
Aman.
dengeran kan sih?
Dengeran, dengeran. Ini udah live berarti ya? Start ya? Udah live stream di YouTube.
Udah live stream di YouTube.
Oke, berarti halo kita jam
Halo.
9 pas kita mulai ya.
Oke, kapan?
Sesuai rundown.
Oke. Halo, halo, dengeran kan sih?
Dengeran, dengeran. Ini udah live berarti ya?
Udah live.
Udah live stream.
Udah live stream di YouTube. Udah connect.
Berarti halo kita jam
Halo.
9 pas kita mulai ya.
Oke, kapan?
Sesuai rundown.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the semi-final of Chemical Games 2021 English debate competition. My name is Pramudia Ariandana Bayu Gautama, and I will be the chairperson of this debate, while Ahmad Mujibur Rashid will be the timekeeper. In this debate, each speaker will have 7 minutes to make their speech. After 1 minute of the debaters, after 1 minute of the debaters on the other team may offer point of interruption to the speaker, debaters must raise hand with an offer point of interruption. The speaker who has the floor may choose a setup or decline a point when it's offered. At 6 minutes, no more point of interruption may be offered to for the rest of the speech. At 7 minutes, the speaker must conclude in a few seconds. There will be a short break at the end of the speech for the judges to complete their notes. After 6 main speeches, each team will have the opportunity to make a 4-minute reply speech. This can be made by either the first or second speaker on each team. No point of interruption are allowed during the reply speech. The opposition will make their reply speech first. Before the debate begins, I would like to remind you to turn off all the notification and anything else which might disturb the debaters. Audience members shall be aware that they are not participating in the main debate. Okay, uh, before we start going on, I want to introduce the judges for this debate. They are Nadila Safira from Chemical Engineering 2017. For Nadila Safira, could you say hi?
Hi everybody, my name is Nadila and nice to meet you. Nice to meet you all.
Okay, thank you. The second is Ma'ruf Bintang from Chemical Engineering 2019. For Ma'ruf, could you say hi?
Hi everybody, my name is Maruf Bintang. Nice to meet you all.
Okay, and the last judges is Putu Krishna from Informatic Engineering 2019. Could you say hi too?
Hello, good evening, everyone. Hello.
Okay, thank you. Okay, the first team in this debate is from K57. The first speaker is Feral Hamonangan. The second speaker is Satria Fuad. And the third speaker is Hans Christian. And reply speaker is Satria Fuad. We also have the second team in this debate is from 2020. Their first speaker is Ken Timotheus. The second speaker is Ajian Andarta. The third speaker is Muhammad Hassan, and reply speaker is Ken Timotheus or Ajian Andarta. For the first session in this debate is the draw to determine the motion and position of the pros or cons of each teams. Please welcome Ahmad Mujibur Rashid. Time is yours.
I will lead for the session draw. First, the first draw is to determine the position. I will draw by clicking this, and the position will. Okay, I start. Draw. 3, 2, 1. The 2020 as pro team and Kalimatuju as contra team. For the next, I will draw the motion. the motion, I will draw for 1, 3, 2, 1. Okay. The motion for this debate is this house believes single-sex schools are better for education. Okay. So I back to chairperson, Mr. Bayu, please.
Okay, thank you, Ahmad Mujibur Rashid, for the draw. So the motion and the position of each teams have been determined, and the motion for this debate is this house believes single-sex schools are better for education, with 2020 as the pro team and K57 as contra team. The two teams will now enter the breakout room to do case building. Thank you.
Oke, jadi peserta bisa langsung masuk ke breakout room masing-masing. Untuk kalimat itu silakan masuk ke kalimat itu, dan 2020 silakan masuk ke room 2020. Thank you.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, it gives me a pleasure to invite the first speaker from Pro Team to open the debate, please. Welcome, Ken Timotheus. Time is yours.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, single-sex education. It is defined as the education system where genders would study in separate classes. Now, so single-sex education is a common practice before the 20th century, and a prime example of this would be the Harrow School in the United Kingdom, which was established in 1572, which still operates till this day and still operates the same conduct, which is single-sex education. Now, ladies and gentlemen, why do single-sex education exist? And most believe that it stems from the religious beliefs of needing of sex segregation. Another would be in the belief that single-sex education creates better performance in education for both genders. And it was only until the 20th century where single-sex education have been reducing. But with that said, single-sex education is still being implemented to this day, and the effects which was originally uh, done is still seen today. And how does this house believes that the implementation of single-sex school is better for educating our students, regardless of even in the modern age of right now. And so, ladies and gentlemen, how does same-sex education good for the livelihoods and not only that, but also the education of our, our students? Now, firstly, with the implementation of single-sex education, with the segregation of the genders, it will create a comfortable environment. Both boys and girls will be much more comfortable in their environment because they don't have to have the pressure of dealing or meeting or the expectations of the opposite sex. And this could be true as well with the teachers, which is our next argument. Our next argument would be that based on the single sex education, boys and girls could learn based on their strengths and weaknesses. And what we mean by this would be that, example, boys are usually trained with much more, they're much more strength. And so the teachers, what I'm saying here, wouldn't be afraid of being a bit more physical, a bit more harder. And another that I would say would be that shown that in my argument, which says that single-sex education is better for the environment, would be that the study created in 1992 by Lauren Brown states that single-sex improves self-concept for, for, for female students. Another would be that single-sex education promotes focus for each gender. In the same research done by 1992 by Lauren Brown, it says that females also achieve higher levels of a concept of learning for females. And so, and this shows that single-sex education would be good in the development of education for students. And another would be in terms of focus, single-sex education, as we all know, is usually implemented in the high school. And so in these times, students are particularly in their transition into adult life and their bodies starts to go intense transitions, such as hormonal changes, such as feelings of love for their interests. And this will create a great distraction in the pursuit of education and particularly in our modern times where we have great access to our phone. This would be harder for parents to take control of our students. This would be a great problem. In single-sex education, that problem is eradicated. And next would be that our biggest reason why single-sex education and how is it going to help in education would be that it ensures that the prevention of sexual harassment between students. Sexual harassment has been a really big problem, particularly for females, and the segregation of that clearly uh, prevents protects our students from any harm, which we do not want, as we want our students to fully focus on our education. And with that said, ladies and gentlemen, with all of these reasons, regardless of uh, our day and age, we still believe that single-sex education could prove to be an interesting option and surprising option in creating a better future for our students. And we rightly invite ladies and gentlemen to support and have an open mind in having bringing our children into a single-sex education. Thank you very much. I would like to bring my time back to the moderator.
Okay, for the first pro speaker has 1 minute, 10 seconds left. I thank the first pro speaker for the speech, and now to open the case for the contra, please welcome Feral Hamonangan. Time is yours.
Okay, thank you, committee, for the time. Good evening, judges, committees, and participants. So, on behalf of my team, I would like to give an argument about the single school education are better or not. And our team thinks that single-sex schools education systems are not better than the heterogeneous type, or where the both genders are having this are pursuing education in the same environment. Our main reason is because the education system where there's only single genders studying in the same in one environment doesn't resemble the world that we live right now, because as we know, education, the main goals or the main purpose of education is to prepare a student for facing their postgraduate life, which is perhaps working or going to college and any kind of dreams they want to pursue. And by going to a single sex educations, it doesn't resemble the world that we live right now. Student in single sex classroom and where they study in a single sex schools educations will one day live and work side by side with members of the opposite sex. And educating students in single sex schools will limit their opportunity to work cooperatively and have experience to coexist successfully with members of the other's opposite sex. And this will be a problem and become a burden for students who came from a single sex schools for facing their postgraduate life. And speaking from my own experience, because I attend to a homogeneous school, which is a single sex school student education system, it's a comfortable environment because we are studying with the same gender who most likely have the same interests as us. But the truth is, uh, educate pursuing education in there's a high chance that it's actually pushing me not to focus on my education or about my studying, but it's actually the opposite. It's pushed me to play more because I have a lot of friends who have the same interest with me to explore life, to play game and etc. and other kind of stuff. So with those reasons, we think that single sex schools are not better than the heterogeneous type education system. I think that's all for our first argument. I will give it back to the moderator.
Okay, the first contra speaker has 4 minutes, 4 seconds left. I thank the first contra speaker for their speech. And now to continue the case for the pro, please welcome Adrian Andarta.
Hey, thank you for having me. So, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening, judges. So, today we're going to explain about our arguments about how we believe that single-sex schools are better for education. And first off, I'm going to point out that we believe that the separation between boys and girls in educational environment means that they are capable of achieving more than they could have. By what I stated, by what I mean is that by separating between these two gender is good for their achievements or their capability of receiving knowledge. This is this is proven and supported by the fact that the boys and girls will not be spending their time trying to get the opposite gender to be with them. Therefore, it also allows them to focus more to their education. And the next one, a single-sex school promotes an environment more conducive to learn than co-ed schools, and specifically help uh, help the students' scores, confidence, and scholastic engagement. Having a one only gender in a classroom or education in school reduces the number of distraction for students and allows them to avoid intensified anxiety or intimidation caused by the presence of the opposite gender. This intimidation that leads to anxiety can trigger some sort of aggression, which is bullying. This issue is significantly reduced in the single gender classroom. So there are also there are more opportunities for boys in the single school environment to pursue music and arts because there are fewer issues with intimidation, which is something that which those two subjects are usually what the girls are mostly capable or widely known by the society. Also, it is it is a good time to point out that they are not going to feel scared or embarrassed in front of the opposite sex because of it, and there are more chance to enjoy their exploration, and there are times for them to study and deepening their subject about themselves. And that concludes our my point for this argument, and then I'm going to give it back to the moderator.
Okay, the second pro speaker has 2 minutes 55 seconds left. I thank the second pro speaker for the speech, and now to continue the case for the contra. Please welcome Satria Fuad.
All right, thank you, sir, for your kind opportunity. Wait, we have some motorcycle inside my kos-kosan. It's kind of noisy. Okay, so first of all, the school. The school is a place where you learn how to prepare yourself to face the real world. As we know, in the real world, there are no such thing as no such thing as comfortable environment. The real world is very harsh environment. So in this during the school time, we have to prepare ourselves for that possibility to face uncomfortable environment. So the other speaker said about comfortable environment, I think making the school is a comfortable environment is not totally right, because if you are trained in a very comfortable environment and then you release into the real world, you will be lost. Like, oh, we have to work with other girls. Oh, we have to work with other men, and that's not the result that we want from the student after they left the school. And then, yeah, first of all, the gender equality, of course. This is not 80-100. When if you are an engineer, you're most likely to only meet men, men, and men. In this modern world, you have to work together with another gender. If you are coming from same-sex school, it might be kind of hard for us to make ourselves comfortable or make ourselves you know yeah okay with that situation, as you usually only work with the same gender gitu. And then the education of the teacher. I think the teacher in Indonesia are trained to teach not only one sex one gender situation in the school. They're trying to handle mixed type of people, mixed type of gender. So it will be quite difficult, I think, to only just teaching just woman, 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 or man, man, man. Then, everyone should get same quality of education sciences. If these schools are separated by gender, there are possibility that the the best school in the town or in this country is only for the men, not for the woman, and that's quite bad, yeah, I think. And then what else, yeah? Prevention of sex harassment. I think if coming from a school where they only met men, men, and men, when they release into the real world and see a woman, they will like, woman, I never saw one. Yeah. And so like, gitulah. So that's not a good thing. When you are in school with a mixed type of gender, you will be you will be comfortable lah working with other gitu. And then about the stereotype, if you are working in a school with the same gender, you will never break a stereotype about the other gender. For example, if men only if in boys school they take women as crying and a lot of generalized thing about women that like crying or such thing. But the fact is when they meet the real woman in the real professional environment, they are nothing like that. There are a lot of strong women in this world. So if you are, so if only same sex sih, not that good sih. Gitu aja sih. Thank you. I will return to chairperson ya.
Okay. For the second contra speaker has 2 minutes 41 seconds left. I thank the second contra speaker for the speech and now continue the case for the pro. Please welcome Muhammad Hasan.
Okay. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. From the second speaker of the opposition teams, they say that the single sex classroom is not represent the real life of world. I agree, but in the single sex classroom, the teacher or the students can learn or can be teach how to interact with the girls and can uh, how to like how to come up with girls or how to interact with the girls. And the second one, in world is not a comfortable place. But we know that the world have a very harsh place, but in the or the single sex education, the boys or the girls also can be uh, learn to accept each other. And the second speaker of the opposition team tells that the sexual harassment in school that not relevant, but in the fact that in Indonesia itself there are 58% that the female student have been pregnant outside the marriage because in the mixed school. And so we know that uh, but there are no possibility that after the single sex education student go to the after the postgraduate or go to in the real life, well, they're probably never seen a girl, or uh, the woman never seen a man, but the teacher must be or would teach them what not to do or what you have to do with the girls. And of course, in teachers, maybe there are like the girls teacher or the men's teacher, so that the sexual harassment are more highly in the mixed education system. And there's a point that the second speaker tells that the single sex system cannot be break the stereotype, but actually in the classroom structure that single sex uh, system, it actually can be break the stereotype. Why? Because in the gender equality, there are still specific ways that women are better than men and men better than women. So in the single sex education, the man can be more easily learn something that more feminine, like the first speaker tells and the second speaker tells that men can learn poetry or music, arts, and the woman, and in other hand, can be more less pressured from like getting the pressure like men are better in in physics or in science and math, but the woman when they meet men maybe in the competition or in the Olympiad, math Olympiad or science Olympiad, they can prove themselves that they are better than men. Or maybe in music talent or in the poetry, the men can prove themselves that they are more capable than women. Therefore, the single sex education system can break the stereotype. So in the fourth or in the another point that the second speaker tells us that education in Indonesia, the teacher is not have the capability to teach in the single classroom because probably most of them are teach in to lecture, give a lecture in the mixed classroom. But actually there are a quiet number of schools in Indonesia that applied a single sex classroom. For example, like my school uh, in Bogor, the teacher, even the teacher itself, is divided for the man and the woman, so that the woman can know themselves more better, and the the male teacher can teach the student how to behave in the real world when they meet the opposite sex. And that's also can less the sexual harassment from the graduate of the single sex. Well, maybe in the mixed team, in the mixed education system, probably there are no like the teacher teach how to behave in the in the work in the to when meet the opposite sex, or probably they never the teacher never give an example how to behave. So therefore, the single sex system, or the single sex education system, it's better than the single mixed education system. And that's all from me. Back to the chairperson. Thank you very much.
Okay, for the third pro speaker has 19 seconds left. I thank the third pro speaker for the speech. And now to continue the case for the contra, please welcome Hans Christian.
Thank you for the opportunity. So I'll make an argument for each argument that the opposition made. First of all, about I believe the second speaker said that for the single-sex school, the student will achieve more. Whereas in fact that study shows by Erin Park from Whitman College in 2014 shows that there are only trivial difference between students in single-sex school and in mixed-gender schools, and even some cases showing small difference favoring mixed-gender schools, which is to show that it does not support the argument that single-sex schools perform better than mixed-gender schools. And then second speaker also said about the intimidation in the single-sex school that leads to a bullying. Whereas in my experience, usually the bullying happens between the same-sex gender, within same-sex, within students with same-sex gender, because they tend to, because even in co-educational school or mixed-gender school, they tend to group up, and then that leads to the student noticing the difference between one student and then bullying them. And then about the sexual harassment, the third speaker brought up about the how Indonesia there are very high rate of like sexual harassment and like under marriage, if I'm not mistaken. That happens is not because of not because the school is mixed gender. That happens because in Indonesia, there are no sex education because the government and the people of Indonesia are way too conservative to introduce to these students the sex education, because sex education is important to introduce to the student how sex works and how to prevent the pregnancy, how to prevent pregnancy before marriage and premarital sex in general. Also, if I'm not mistaken, the first speaker also said about the student being comfortable in each environment in single-sex school. Well, even if some cases it was true, but also how did you? But also that means that those students are living in their comfort zone, whereas in the real world, you have to adapt and you have to go out of your comfort zone most of the time, in which that means that you have to interact with other other genders. And also in working environment, it is important that we have to cooperate with everyone, no matter what the gender is. And, and also, I want to stress out about the stereotype that we brought up by the second that has been brought up by the second speaker. You know, let's be real. In our environment, about the friendship environment, we tend to stereotyping other genders, especially if you're a male and you be friend with other male, you tend to stereotype with other about female and vice versa. And so being in mixed gender school broke that stereotype because you get to know what other genders behavior is, and you get to understand what other genders behavior is. If you live in a single sex school your entire life, that means that you will think that every man has this bad behavior, whether it's lazy or just playing around, immature. And also and that also happens to boys stereotyping female as being weak or I need help, and vice versa. So I believe that uh, single sex school is not really good. Maybe it looks good on the when on the school, but in the after you graduate, it's definitely gonna affect how you interact with other people, your social skills, and etc. Maybe that's all for my document. I'll return that to the moderator. Thank you.
Timekeeper, can you pause the time? Actually, I want to remind to all the. I'm sorry to interrupt, but actually for the other teams, kalimat tujuh. If you see the rules, actually, if others if the opposition's team members raise hand, actually you can answer. You can listen their opinions, and then you answer them. Like it is the purpose of the debate itself. It's not like you using our time and then wait until your time is up and then they answer not. Actually in you still have 45 seconds. Actually it's okay for the other teams to interrupt your opinion, and you can also give your opinion as long you and your team agree to answer the their opinion. Thank you.
Yeah. First of all, I would like to apologize because I didn't open the.
It's okay. It's okay. Actually,
I didn't see the opposition raise hand. Had I seen it, I probably gonna allow them to speak.
It's okay. It's okay. It's okay.
Apologies for the
Actually,
opportunity
I
and
also want the HIMATEK. If there is someone who raised the hand, actually you can talk in the chat, because actually we cannot. The other cannot see in the. They not see in the participants. Actually, if you put in the chat that there is someone who raised the hand, they can see the notification itself. Maybe the HIMATEK one. Maybe HIMATEK you can chat if there is someone who raised the hand. And also I would like to apologize also, because we don't we believe that all of you understand the rules, but I think because this is I think not all of you used to the to debate, so so that's why I taught the rules again. So it's okay actually, Hans. Maybe the other team or the Karima Tuju wants to get interrupted by 2020 team. If you agree that you can give your time to the opposition team, and if you want to answer, then you can answer. It's up to you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for the judges for the suggestion. Okay, the third contra speaker has 45 seconds left. I think the third contra speaker for their speech. We now move to the 4 minutes for reply speeches. To deliver the contrast reply speech, please welcome Satria Fuad.
Now, yeah, so I just wanted to make a point that the problem of young pregnancy is not is not caused by mixed school system. It's more about the lack of sex education in Indonesia. As we know, the sex is taboo and that kind of thing. So that's not the problem of the mixed gender school. And then about the what comfortable opposite sex. I think the second speaker talk about in the same sex school you will have more confidence, but I think we have to be get used to being seen by the other gender. So when you are show off in the real world in front of the audience, you cannot choose who will be your spectator or your audience. I think that's all from me sih for the second speaker. Ya, jadi gitu. Kayak gitu nggak? Iya. Udah.
Okay,
Oh, ini conclusion. Astaga, sorry. Iya, yeah. I want to, jadi, and then mixed school system are much common in Indonesia rather than single gender school. And then from the generation after generation of graduates, whether mixed or single gender school, graduates are thriving in the real professional world. So the choice between mixed or single gender school are left for the parents and students to decide what's best for them. Gitu. Thank you.
okay. The contra reply speaker has 2 minutes, 7 seconds left. And now to conclude the case for the pro and the debate as a whole, please welcome Kern Timotheus or Adrian Andarta.
Okay, so we are going to conclude our debate session, therefore conclude all of our arguments. So one of the first argument that we would like to talk about is that we are supporting the single-sex education program or single-sex education school because they are strengthening the student or maintaining the focus on the students, mainly to improve their learning through their sheer focus. Therefore, they are helped in their studies because of the lack of diversion between the other genders. Secondly, is the fact that single-sex school is also protecting the students, especially females, from the unwanted happenings that can be carried out by the opposite sexes. The third one is the, the fact, oh no, I'm sorry. The third one is that the single-sex school can be a good place to learn new or secondary things like their side hobby and that kind of related stuff, or especially side subjects that are uh, always always shines in the opposite gender. And of course, I would like to point out that actually the single-sex study can also be maintain their students to be capable of interact with the other opposite gender by using or utilizing gradual or weekly or no, I'm sorry, monthly events such as field study or field trip. It can actually be used like that. Therefore, ladies and gentlemen, we are going full circle that this is the reason that why we should support the single sex education system in school. And I would like to conclude our conclusion, and I'm going to give it back to the moderator. Thank you.
Okay, the pro reply speaker has 39 seconds left. Thank you to all the speakers for this debate, and the judges are now going to deliberate in a breakout room and make their decisions. They will judge the outcome of this debate. Thank you. Thank you. For all participants, you could rest while waiting the judges make the decision.
So the result will be announced immediately, yeah?
Yes, after the judges in a breakout room.
So we can leave, yeah? Or wait
No,
here?
no, you cannot leave the Zoom meetings.
Okay.
Okay.
Mas Titan, mungkin bisa request lagu Mas Titan.
Oke, boleh.
Santai-santai dulu setelah debat yang ini ya.
Siap.
Live streamingnya kok nge-lag, oi. Pas wajahku jelek lagi.
Itu Zoom, bukan live streaming. Itu Zoom mobile.
Iya toh, masa Zoomku. Ntar aku tak off cam coba.
Writing's not that easy, but Grammarly can help. This sentence is grammatically correct.
They say, for the more things change, the more they stay the same. Ain't that a shame? I've been good say, starry-eyed, how you love to smile and watch the clouds reside. Just tryna give it some time, feeling like I'm running away. Never had the chance to say I can say that loving you is easy. I don't need to prove a single thing. Somewhere along the way, I guess you got under my skin. I put all my cards out on the table. You ain't never gonna show your hand. I would rather hold you close than try to understand. I put all my cards out on the table. You ain't ever gonna show your hand. I would rather hold you close than try to understand. I can say that loving you is easy. I don't need to prove a single thing. Somewhere along the way, I guess you got under my skin. I put all my cards out on the table. You ain't never gonna show your hand. I would rather hold you close than try to understand.
Dangdutan dulu, boy.
Ngrameni, oi.
Asik banget kayak situ sih.
Udah kayak diskotan.
Ini pesertanya kemana ya?
Di breakout, Mbak.
Di breakout, Mbak.
Nggak tahu kenapa tadi masuk breakout.
Oke.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome one of the judging panel members to give the feedback and announce the winning team. For Putu Krishna, time is yours.
All right, thank you, moderator. Okay. Good evening, everyone. Thank you very much for completing the very first round of chemical games debating competition. Adjudicating with me is Mbak Nadila and Arul. We have, after a very interesting deliberation with each other, we have come into a conclusion. But before I will divide my adjudication into two parts. First is three parts. First is general comments. The second is the decision, and third is the reason behind that decision. First, general comments. I think we think it is an interesting debate since we are talking about which education system will create a better system and which education system will encourage more productivity and how it will affect the students and how the schools will operate. Moving on. So after an interesting deliberation, we have come into an unanimous conclusion that the team that should proceed to the final round is the negative team K57. Congratulations to K57, you win this round. Clap. Okay, basically the reason behind this decision. The reason why the 2020 team, the government team, cannot win over K57 is first, although the 2020 team brings a lot of context that are interesting about how the history of same-sex school, how the transition to co-ed in the end of the day, and in the end of the day is happened in the 20th century. But unfortunately, this context that the 2020 teams bring has not is not productive enough to in terms of output in terms of relevant arguments that could win the debate for you. Basically, the 2020 teams comes into this debate with the goal to produce this comfortable environment. Their identity relies on the idea that it will create an automatically comfortable environment, which leads to better performance, and how it will reduce rates of premarital pregnancy. Unfortunately, those arguments are at best just a jargony term, and there are no explanation on why the step-by-step mechanism or the likelihood on why this kind of same-sex schools will automatically lead to better performance. Moreover, how the K57 frames this debate. Basically, the negative team come into this debate with an angle that same-sex schools are not reflective of how the real world works and how they are just living in the bubble, and how if same-sex schools are going to be applied, the students are not going to be ready for the real world. Their identity relies on that co-ed school are more realistic depiction of post-education lives and will be better for the students. And this kind of identity directly clash with the importance of whether comfort is matter if you are ended up living in the bubble. Basically, the clashes that the K57 wins and the idea of why comfortability is not important if you are just living in a bubble. Second, how the interaction between genders are going to be much worse under same-sex schools system, and how that the sex harassment that the 2020 tries to bring, it will still just happen because of some reason. Basically, the K57 explain and how same-sex schools will polarize the interaction, where people are students will rely heavily on stereotypical depiction of the other sex, and how males are scary and how cewek are cengeng and etc. Because they don't have this kind of interaction. We believe this is a much more important contribution coming for K57 comparatively to what the 2020 team have brought upon this debate. Moreover, on the idea of sex harassment, due to the fact that the K57 has successfully framed this debate that way, the sex harassment, they can easily frame it will be much worse under what 2020 is trying to propose. So under that three classes, K57 easily wins the debate by landslide. So yes, that's my conclusion. Congratulations again to K57 for proceeding to the finals. Don't worry at 2020 for not winning this debate. There are still way more chances for you maybe later on, like chemical games. But from the judges, we are very sorry that with the fiasco on the PI system, like the 2020, we acknowledge that 2020 tries to raise their hand, but unfortunately, it was not seen by the K57. That ends my what do you call it? There is the debate of the conclusion of this debate. I will give it back to the moderator team. Thank you.
Thank you for the judges. Thank you. Congratulations for K57. Okay, maybe it is the closing time. Thank you for all of the participants that has joined today debate sessions. Sorry if we have any mistakes. For all participants, you could leave the Zoom meetings now. See you to the next debate session. Thank you.
GG 2020 semangat.
Thank you, thank you.
2020 udah bagus, cuman poinnya lebih dimasukin ya, korelate.
We will take this as an experience. Thank you very much.
Yeah, and if you have interest in debate, maybe you can join the debate like Krishna. But actually, we also have English club, and Maruf is the head of the English club. Actually, if Krishna want to leave, it's okay. I just want to promotions, give promotions. So. Actually, I want to give opinion to 2020 team. Actually, you have good points on the first round. I can conclude 5 points from you, but please not give all them in the first round. Just keep 2 or 3, and you correlate them each other and give the explanations. Okay. Is like you said that religion belief, you can mention, okay, in some country religion belief is important, so we believe that